Alright, so we're back for round 2, and I think I figured out a way to hide the results of the matches from you guys there, so you guys won't have to get quite so spoilerized this time. So we started off 0-1, and here we are for round 2. We're playing against Evgen. So start off with this hand. It's pretty decent. It doesn't have any of our good creatures, and it's a little slow, but as it turns out we're playing against Stompy, and it's a great hand against Stompy. We have 2 burn spells. Lead off with the tap land. I usually don't like to try to hit these Rancors off of them, because if I lead out with this Great Furnace and they toss a Rancor on a Young Wolf, and then they have this mana up, what am I supposed to do? So, since I couldn't play around a pump spell, didn't want to, so Young Wolf gets in. We take 3. Play around tap land and play the Prophetic Prism. I decided to play the Prophetic Prism rather than the Ichor Wellspring because we have a Battle Screech already in hand and I don't have a second white for it. We drew the Core Skyfisher, which is a great draw. I'm really looking for a Journey to Nowhere for this Young Wolf. I'd rather not spend 2 burn spells on it, but it's possible I'm just going to have to spend 2 burn spells. Just face the facts. So here I decide, since they have 2 mana up and stuff, I want to just kill this Nettle Sentinel on my turn. Since they have so much land, I know that they're probably going to be able to cast any pump spells they have. So I go with the Lightning Bolt, they Vines it, then I blast it. So I got the Vines out of their hand, and I get to play a tap land. The other option I had that turn was to Core Skyfisher and pick up the Prophetic Prism and play the tap land. But my plan is to play that this turn. If I didn't have to use one of my burn spells to counter the Vines, I was going to be able to hold up a burn spell with Core Skyfisher. So we don't draw the white mana we need to cast Battle Screech, but a tap land is good too, so we don't miss a land drop. So here, if they attack with both, I'm going to block the Young Wolf, the Core Skyfisher, and the Thraben Inspector on the Young Wolf and the Core Skyfisher on the Quarian Ranger. If they just attack with the Young Wolf, I'm going to block with the Thraben Inspector, which is what happens. Our opponent casts a Groundswell to get in a little extra damage on us and to save their Young Wolf. So they're down to 1 card in hand. I draw this Galvanic Blast. And actually, this was a tough decision, so let's kind of go back. Imagine I haven't played the Ichor Wellspring yet. So I could play Battle Screech and flash it back. If I play the Battle Screech and flash it back, I have 2 toughness of untapped creatures, and they have 4 power, including 3 of it being trample. If they draw any +4/+4 pump spell, I know for a fact they'll be able to kill me. I know they have a land, so even if they draw a Groundswell, because they have Quarian Ranger, they always have landfall. So I decided to play it this way instead. My other option was to cast Battle Screech and not flash it back. The problem is then I'm chump blocking and then I'm never going to be able to flash it back. So since I drew this Galvanic Blast, I decided it's a little safer to just hold up my Core Skyfisher and hold up the Galvanic Blast. So I play the Ichor Wellspring and we get very lucky. And we draw a Lightning Bolt. I decided not to attack, of course. This is a blocking deck. So our opponent plays a land from their hand. They're super flooded, and I pointed out in the video that they have gone through only 1/5 of their deck, and they have nearly 1/3 of their lands. They only play 16. So our opponent attacks. I'm expecting a Groundswell since they played their land, but they don't cast one. And what's nice about these double burn spells is I can play around Hunger of the Howlpack very well. They decide to pick up a land for some reason, even though they've already played one, and they don't play their Rancor again, which is probably smart. So I end up cracking my clue. Oh no, I Gal Blast. So I cast a Galvanic Blast because I can still play around. I know 2 of their cards, they've got a Forest and a Rancor, so no matter how many burn spells, or no matter how many pump spells they have, which can only be 1, they can't actually get past the Galvanic Blast and the Lightning Bolt. I decided not to bolt this Quarian Ranger because it gets blown out too hard by Hunger of the Hellpack, so I just untap. So one problem with this line was that I now can't flashback my Battle Screech at all. but I can cast it and hold up Lightning Bolt. Opponent plays the Rancor. I do not bolt it because I want to save my Lightning Bolt for a pump spell. So just block. They do cast Groundswell, and at this point I'm dead to a second pump spell if they top deck 2 in a row, but they didn't. So we pretty much just go on to win this game easily. As we draw a burn spell, play Prophetic Prism, draw another burn spell, crack my clue, draw another removal spell, so there's really nothing they can do. They play this Young Wolf. I think about blasting it to get rid of the Rancor, but instead I just cast the Journey to Nowhere. Take it out. Get a Nicker Wellspring down. I decided to play a Glinthawk here and tap out because I'm not scared of Rancors or anything. And then I flash back the Battle Screech. We get in for a bunch of damage. I cast Rally. Oh, I was supposed to cast Rally there, but I forgot. So I misclicked through the Rally. We have to play one more turn, but they have no outs. And they just concede eventually. Oh, never mind. So it doesn't pop up on the screen, but our opponent conceded. So let's move on to game 2. Alright, so let's check out the sideboard quick. So I decided to board in 1 Electrickery and leave the other one in the board. So I board in 1 Electrickery, and I board in the 2 Standard Bearers. Standard Bearer just blanks all of their pump spells. And then I boarded out 1 Battle Screech. 4 mana is a lot against Stompy. Sometimes you're dead on your 4th turn. So I wanted to get rid of the Battle Screech, and then I got rid of both Rally the Peasants. It's good if we really need to race them, but I would rather just kill all their creatures rather than try to race them like that. So let's get to this game. And our opponent mulligans to 6, which Stompy mulligans kind of a lot, or they have a lot of tough mulligan decisions because they have only 16 lands in their deck, and you need to decide a lot. 30% of the time you only have a 1-land hand. So you have to decide if you are really willing to keep a 1-land hand or if you want to try to mulligan into something better. So again, they start with the Young Wolf, but this time we have the Journey. One thing I want to apologize to you guys for is all this clicking. Unfortunately, I have to click this button over and over, otherwise the play button's a little too fast. So I'm sorry about all the clicking in your ears, but I don't really know of a better way to do it. So I played the Prophetic Prism there. I had some options. I could have bolted this and played a Thraven Inspector, but we're going to miss our next land drop, so I really want to get the Prophetic Prism down. Also, it'll give me something to sacrifice to Kuldotha Rebirth if I really need to. Our opponent, I think, is sandbagging. I think they sandbagged one of these creatures, or sandbagged the Pit Skulk last turn rather than tap low on their pump spell. So I decided to go with a Glinthawk here and pick up the Great Furnace because we're going to miss our land drop. And then I play a Thraven Inspector, and then I sacrifice the clue to the goblins. So I don't think we're going to need the clue because we're so low on mana at this point. And basically Prophetic Prism is like another clue. If I play the Glinthawk, pick it up and play it, it's just 2 mana to draw a card. So our opponent attacks. We make some pretty easy blocks. This is pretty easy. If we want to trade, that's nice. They play some pump spell. Okay, they play Mutagenic Growth, or Young Wolf and Thraven Inspector trade. And then we have to be a little worried about them casting a Hunger of the Hell Pack, but they don't. So right now we're in a great spot. They can't attack really with their Young Wolf or their Scattershot Archer. All they have is 2 damage, and we're still at 18, and it's our 4th turn. And we haven't cast any removal spells yet. So now I decide to try to kill that guy. So they have 1 Vines to save it. Cast another Bolt. They have a 2nd Vines, but now they have no cards in hand. And we're kind of in the driver's seat here. I still have another Journey, just in case something really bad happens. So then I get to pick up my land. Still, we don't have any attacks, though. 1 attacks for 2, and that's okay with me. Glinthawk, I pick up the Prism. play the Prism. One thing that should be noted on that turn, I played the Glinthawk before I played my land, which is a bit of a mistake. If they had like a natural state and they killed my Prophetic Prism, I would have had no artifacts to pick up with the Glinthawk, and you have to sacrifice the Glinthawk if you don't have an artifact to pick up. So that was just a small thing. I was definitely going to play this land this turn. I got a little fancy with my sequencing, so be careful of that. Like, if you're playing against a deck that might destroy your enchantment or artifacts at instant speed, make sure that you play an extra one for your Glinthawk. So our opponent attacks here with just their Young Wolf, and we make, I don't know if they're trying to get me to block with my Glinthawk, but we make the pretty easy block with Thraben Inspector plus Goblin. They don't even have a pump spell, so they just trade a Thraben Inspector for their 2/2. So at this point I have, I actually decided to take out the Scattershot Archer just in case they draw Quarian Ranger. I don't want them to be able to take out my Glinthawk. And the Pit Skulk isn't doing anything anyway. Like, we're at a ton of life. And I decided to get in with everything because I'm going to cast double Kuldotha Rebirth. I keep the Prophetic Prism around and sacrifice 2 lands because I'm more interested in picking up the Prophetic Prism if I hit a Glinthawk or if I hit a Skyfisher rather than having the extra lands in play that I don't really need. So we get to attack with everything. Oh my gosh, gotta click through all of them. So they draw a couple creatures, but they're dead on board here unless they have a Tangle, which I have seen out of this deck sometimes, but our opponent did not have one. We have exactly 6, and they're dead. So that's pretty simple Stompy matchup. This is just kind of what happens against this deck. We are kind of built directly to beat this deck. So our removal spells are great. We have a lot of them. Our creatures are efficient still. We can fire off these goblins super early, take them out. So that's it for round 2. I'll see you guys for round 3.